Hey guys, long time no talk.
I know. A whole 7 days. You guys,
7 days we last spoken.
Can I start by starting with a serious tone this week? Because there's some things I want to do. To our audience, I want to start by issuing an apology to Lil Nas X. I re-listened to the episode. While my critique of Holiday stands, I came at him a little bit too hard. And that's not what we do here on this podcast. We don't bash artists. We critique. We sometimes, especially the artists we love, we can be passionate about. But I feel bad going back.
You love Lil Nas X?
The artists that we care about, we can be passionate about.
Wait, seriously, you care about Lil Nas X?
I wasn't using love in the literal sense. It was hyperbole. But the artists
the song
that we
was
care
not
about,
that bad. It was not.
We can be a little bit passionate about,
The song was not that bad.
So I don't know if I'm ready to go as far as to say that. But what I will say is I could have just said it wasn't for me and left it alone.
Fair enough. So to Lil Nas X, who we know is listening, Nnamdi.
We still rooting for you, dog.
Actually, if he was listening, he probably stopped after last week. Let's be honest.
He probably was like, "I'm over this."
I don't think so. I don't think he would stop listening. I feel like Lil Nas X is cool. I feel like he could take a thing and then just like be like, oh, whatever.
Is there any other artist we'd like to apologize to this week?
Not really.
Noah, I'm looking at you with Lil Uzi. I feel like you sort of.
What did I do last week?
I just don't think his music is that bad.
I said, okay, first of all, I said, it's just not for me. I've always said that. I've never, first of all, that's the thing. I never say artist sucks. I never say, man, it's terrible.
Y'all love to say never, like this isn't recorded every single week. I can go back.
What artist? I've said albums.
I'm referencing Lil Uzi for a reason.
I said I've done albums. I've said albums. I've never said, man, that artist is terrible. I said he's not for me. I've said Future, it's just I can't get it. Young Thug, I get people love him. It's just not for me. I always say that. I'm consistent. You can go back. That Lil Uzi album and that problem with that Lil Uzi album, I never said it was terrible. I said I don't believe it deserved the adulation that it got.
Didn't say it was. No, it's you know what? I'm not playing with you.
That was the discussion. I'm serious. That problem with our album was, it was number one. We never said it was terrible. My problem was that people were saying it's lyrically, it's lyricism. I was like, I didn't see that.
Wrong.
Exactly. That's just wrong. That's just false.
No, it feels like that was paid for commentary.
That'd be you. You see how you did it last week? That'd be you. You see, I didn't apologize.
I don't. The only reason I'm coming back to apologize is I remember I used to hold a standard when we first started recording about not bashing the artists themselves. And this was the first time I felt like that standard wasn't. And I don't even think I bashed the artist. I bashed the songs. I didn't bash Lil Nas X. I just bashed the song.
Okay, the song was not that bad enough to warrant like an entire just like takedown of an artist of anyone.
Well, no, I don't think it's. The
song was not that bad.
And I would like to remind.
They didn't come out with Holy.
I did later say. Holy was better than Holiday. I'll say that any day of the week. But
yeah, I think Holy was better.
I will say that any day of the week.
I'd rather listen to Holy.
Avery, honestly, I think now that we're just doing this in our last minute of our intro, do you want to go ahead and issue that apology to Justin Bieber?
I'm not apologizing to Justin Bieber or Chance the Rapper for coming out with a horrible song.
Okay, first of all, Avery, okay.
They should be apologizing to us.
Okay, seriously. Even looking at it unbiasedly, those songs are like on the same level. They're on different spectrum, but they're like on the same level of quality.
I would rather listen to Holiday personally.
No, but
I would rather listen.
No. But you said Holy was the worst song. You didn't say it's not for me. Avery said no.
I really did not like that song. I stand by that.
Way you hold me. Okay, let's go. You know what?
That's a derivative. That's just it. That's just it for me. But
derivative.
No, you didn't say it was for. No, but the thing is, he didn't say it was for me. He said that's the worst song of the year.
You guys, I like when we record in the early morning. I just feel like our takes are so much more authentic.
Wait, is that expletive of the gospel genre? You think?
Yeah.
And then let's talk about Kanye again. If you want to talk about expletive of gospel.
First of all, I disagree with that. First of all, Justin Bieber is out there Christian. Like he knows that. Remember he canceled his whole tour I don't think that's actually.
Wait, why did he cancel? Wait, what's that? What did he cancel his tour for?
I remember he canceled his tour a while ago because he was like, I need to work on my Christianity and stuff like that. He canceled the whole tour for that. Kanye was like, I'm gonna make money off this. That's expletive, in my opinion.
Okay,
but okay,
I just think anytime something like that is taken into the mainstream, I think it like should be looked at like more carefully than just like, oh, just like
I
another
think,
song.
in my opinion, that applies more to Kanye West being nominated
a whole album
for Gospel Artist of the Year and
You're
Best
right.
Contemporary Gospel Album for an album that has a song called "Close on Sunday, You're My Chick-fil-A." That to me is that discussion. Justin Bieber wanting to release "Holy" with Chance the Rapper, in which "Holy" is more so like a double entendre for something else or something. It's like, you know,
I think
like,
this
I'll
sounds like a
let
great
it
topic
pass.
for another day.
it really could,
That's
honestly, yeah. Let's jump in. Welcome to the 97 Demo Podcast, where we give you the latest in music, news, and a whole bunch along the way. This week we're talking about the Grammys. I'm excited. So if you want to hear that discussion up front and now, skip to, I would say, like the 30-ish minute mark, around there somewhere, and
30
we'll get into
35.
that.
That is
but
our
in the
time
me-
every time, bro. That is so
Around
good.
that, I try to
Yeah.
guesstimate.
Oh, that's good.
But before we get into that, gentlemen, why don't we just go ahead and jump into our headlines? Because there was kind of a lot of cool stuff this week.
No intro, no like, hey guys, this is Nnamdi, you know.
Well, I just thought that like 6 minutes, of talking was intro.
I'm
Oh,
actually like 4 minutes in.
Hopefully the people that listen know who we are, but still,
okay,
I
no,
feel
you're
like
right.
it's
You're
good
right.
to-
You're right.
it's not-
You know,
you know.
I agree with you. We need to be professional and consistent. So excuse me,
Yeah.
let me do this. I'm 1-3 of your host, Nnamdi Agwan. We're joined by my two friends.
Noah, what's up, guys?
And Avery.
I don't like how y'all don't say
Exactly.
your last names, but I say my last name. Take
Hey
two.
man, this
I'm
people
not
out
Nnamdi
there-
Agwan.
Trying to stay off the grid,
There's-
you know.
exactly, bro. They can't know the whole government name.
As
As
we show your Twitter name. which
As
I
we
know
show
I'm
our Twitter name.
That's special. That's a special treat for our YouTube.
As we so yeah. If y'all want to know,
All three of our
Avery's-
YouTube watchers.
Avery's Twitter is his full name. It's that. That's it. No middle name. That's it.
Okay.
This
Well, I
is
also
hilarious.
realized, you guys, I've also realized we've never, I feel, explained the format of this on the actual pod. So just really quick, before we get into the Grammys discussion, we'll have a discussion of music headlines, new releases, upcoming debuts, and our chart rundowns. If you don't want to hear any of that, go ahead and skip. I feel like that
Yeah.
should be included in like the intro from
Yeah,
now on,
we have
that's like
we have time codes in the description. So
perfect.
Yeah.
No, this was a monumental occasion for Atlanta.
yeah, I actually watched this on Apple Music. Because Apple Music does the thing where like they have a deal with Apple Music where you can just watch it live like in HD on your phone or your Apple TV and stuff like that in the Apple Music app, which is really fun. But yeah, this was
really dope. Hold on, tell them what
this-
we're talking about.
Gucci. Oh, I thought they knew. Gucci Mane versus Jeezy versus obviously Nnamdi has the numbers on the screen if you're a video listener, but you see versus they set record that
He does that every week, and I'm like, I'll take
What?
it.
I share the
What?
screen and record and
Oh,
edit.
oh. No,
Avery's like, give me my props.
I would like
I was saying, oh yeah, Avery, yeah, you share the screen, but I was saying there was like on IG Live, they have numbers for Apple Music and IG Live. You see there was 1.8 million concurrent viewers on Instagram Live, and 5.5 total viewers. And
Insane.
yeah, it's just insane. On Apple
This is
Music, it says 2.3 total viewers, and unofficial YouTube, Facebook viewers is 1.3 million. So is that 7 billion impressions? My goodness.
Yeah.
Insane.
So 1.6 million tweets, 3.2 million tweets globally. I mean, Gucci Mane and Jeezy, obviously they have a historic famed beef going back years now.
where
Obviously,
one tried to get the other killed, allegedly.
Well, Well, Gucci Mane allegedly did get one of Jeezy's homeboys killed, which was a big topic on Twitter. I don't want to get into those topics because that's just...
They just sort of like chilling next to each other in the.
Gucci did play like the song he wrote. What's it called? Is it called like the Truth? It's he played the song that he wrote in response to that during the verses, and I remember it. Like you go on Twitter and everyone's like, "Get the security ready. Get the
Spicy.
serious."
Well, you know what the funny part is? The funny part is Gucci Mane is still kind of in that space, and Jeezy is like, he's married to Jeannie.
He's married to Jeannie Mae.
No, he's engaged. I don't think they got married yet. There's something like that. They're together, and it's like he's just like another space and everything. And it's funny, but it's interesting because he just dropped the album too. So it was all this is all part of the thing. But it was really fun though. It was fun. It was fun.
It was very fun.
Even Freddie Gibbs was throwing shots too, but because Freddie Gibbs was signed.
J. Cole was in that chat. My favorite part of watching Versus is going to the Instagram comments and seeing which artists come out of the woodwork to start, or which companies come out of the woodwork to start talking. Like Fashion Nova will be in them comments like, "Yo, that's crazy, Jeezy, keep it up." It's like,
crazy, keep it up, 50% off on our jeans.
Yeah, but you guys, I want to we've been following Versus honestly since the start of this podcast, and this was the season 2 debut, Gucci versus Jeezy, and I knew it was going to be big just because hip hop heads know this beef and like they're going to watch. But the fact that this broke the all-time viewership records for Verzuz, like, is absolutely insane.
Honestly,
like no one.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like you mentioned, 5.5 million total viewers on Instagram, 2.3 million on Apple Music, 1.3 million on unofficial YouTube or Facebook streams. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I keep saying this every time we like cover one of these Verzuz battles, but like just wait till like the pandemic's over and these are in person. Like,
true. When the show,
it's gonna be crazy.
How much do you think they charge for a ticket to a Verzuz?
Oh, a lot.
Like, that would be like a Gucci Jeezy Verzuz. That'd be some money. Because you couldn't have it at a huge arena. I feel like it'd have to be like a more of an intimate.
That would actually be fun as heck. If you have two artists you love and you go to a Verzuz and they just beg your music and you just turn it on, that'd be fun.
So fun.
That'd be like a concert for both artists, kind of, if they were like into it for real. But yeah.
I don't like this font
like a
they
Lakewood
have.
amphitheater.
Is that just me? This font they have for the names.
Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah.
The C and the I are so close.
Travis Scott probably designed it because you guys, look how I'm doing this leave a segue. Travis Scott designed they had merch for this Verzuz and none other than Brandon King, Travis Scott designed it. He dropped. Okay. But this shirt is actually super, like, I would get this shirt. I would get this shirt. It's like an iced snowman and ice cream cone, because that's Jeezy and Gucci Mane's respective like symbols on his shirt, and like the sizes this came in, you guys, are like small to extra large, and there was a 5th option that says, like, I think it's like Atlanta tall T one size, like 2005 tall T one size, because that was the culture back then. I loved it.
Oh yeah, and it was at Magic City too. That's where the Verzuz was at. I kind of have weird thoughts on this. I don't know. It's like, was this something he did? And then he was like, I didn't read it because I saw the.
I think they asked him. I want to say they worked with him to. I don't think he just was like, hey, let's buy this shirt real quick.
I mean, that's what I was like, oh, he's gonna drop it out of nowhere. But that is really, I like that he had the 2005 tall one size tee. That's cool. I saw some people kind of not liking it, like, oh, that's kind of tacky, that's kind of lame. But I think it's cool. It looks good. So the black one, I think the black one.
If Verzuz is gonna continue to grow, merch only makes sense. And who else to get to help you with your merch than like Merch King Travis Scott?
If they did, that's the thing. It's basically tour merch for Verzuz, and people love tour merch. Tour merch is just a cool thing. Tour merch.
They're like gearing up. They're getting ready.
Yeah, for sure, easily.
Yeah, you got on a little bit more of a litigious.
Ooh, I saw this. I read that.
So we talked last year, or I guess we didn't have a pod then, but we talked last year about Scooter Braun buying Taylor Swift's masters for her like first 6 albums, I believe, against her will. He has now sold said masters, which were set to be worth north of $350 million. The deal's valued anywhere between $350 to like $500 million for those masters. And Taylor Swift, the story here is, the new owner of the masters reached out to Taylor Swift prior to the deal being formed, probably because they were aware of the backlash that happened the first time, to say, hey, this is the deal we're doing. Here's what's going on. We want to work with you. We want to be cool. They tried to invite Taylor Swift to be a partner, but working with Scooter Braun, who still maintains some sort of control with this new deal, was like a non-starter for her. So that didn't happen. I think she's again come out and say, like, I don't like my art being sold without my say. It's the second time there's been a deal with my voice not being in it. But I do want to say, that aside, from strictly like a business perspective, Scooter Braun kind of took the W here, because he bought it for 300 mil. I think he's selling it and making at least $100 million in like value. I don't really know I think he was aware that keeping ownership of it was probably bad for his image and brand, because it would always like he robbed an artist of their art. And like now he kind of has put more distance between them and himself, still maintains some sort of control, and profited like $100 million. So like,
well, anytime you're profiting upwards of $100 million, I consider that a win. But yeah, of course, in the public eye, Scooter Braun's gonna be seen as the bad guy in this. So
I cannot wait for the Scooter Braun documentary that's gonna come out. In like
documentary on Hulu.
Yeah, like
or
I
Netflix.
feel like he's like secretly the bad guy. I mean, he probably is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
the artists that are managed the artists that he manages swear that he's like a great. He manages what, like Justin, Ariana, Demi Lovato, and they all go to bat for him. They all go to bat for him. So I think this is just one of those tricky music class and art classes with business and money. Because from a business perspective, I'm not sure how you can say no to buying Taylor Swift's masters if you can afford it. But I do understand Taylor Swift's point that as an artist, we should at least be involved in the conversation of our work being sold. So
absolutely. And when you get to artists at Taylor Swift's level, there's guaranteed to be issues like with issues like this. You know what I'm saying? She's basically at like, I don't want to say legend status, but like she's had that kind of success though.
No, she is. Yeah, and if we don't have that conversation enough, one day I'm gonna bring in the numbers and we're gonna talk about some of the boxes that Taylor Swift has now met. Because when she's ranked, she's no longer ranked with like your Beyoncé's or Rihanna's or like other pop people of our eras. It's like Elton John, the Beatles, Taylor Swift. Like it's sort of insane from a sales perspective what she's accomplished.
She said things that some artists have never pushed. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This was interesting. Did anyone see this? That Sia dropped her you can just scroll down through tweets and replies. She dropped her directorial debut, a movie called Music, which the premise of it is that there is a deeply like a low functioning autistic child played by Maddie Ziegler who experiences the world and music differently. The trailer looks pretty and great. The immediate criticism this got is, hey, did you at least try to find an actual autistic actor to play the role you gave to Maddie Ziegler? Because that's kind of messed up to have an able-bodied person try to fake a disabled like portrayal, make the character look like, they need to be fixed. And Sia, I guess her PR team wasn't really by her. She started replying to some of these comments and her reasoning literally was like, watch the movie first before you judge it. Casting someone who was disabled to play this role with such a short turnaround time would have been cruel. Because I think at one point she said we initially had like a disabled artist, and it just didn't work because it's a high stress role. You're singing, you're dancing, you're doing all this stuff. So we went with Maddie. And Avery, if you scroll down, literally you'll see it just gets worse and worse. At one point, someone's like, hi, I'm actually autistic, and I would have spent, look, actually, that person took a screenshot of that picture right there. If you scroll up, someone's like, I could have played this role. And Sierra responds and says, maybe you're just a bad actor. And her response, like,
for our audio listeners to hear how bad it is, the person, this Twitter, it's at Helen Angel. Several autistic actors, myself included, responded to these tweets. We all said we could have acted on short notice. These excuses are just that, excuses. The fact of the matter is zero effort was made to include anyone who's actually autistic. Maybe, and then Sia responded, maybe you're just a bad actor, which is not a good look.
And
that's
oh
terrible.
My gosh,
that's pretty horrible.
You guys, it is.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, this is
bad.
Obviously, Sia just sounds very ignorant on this particular subject. Because
and then Avery, click on that picture in the comments right there, like right that one, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was in response. No, I'm gonna let you go. Yeah, keep on going because someone was like, "Did you work with any organizations?" And she was like, "Autism Speaks does," and apparently they're a really controversial autistic organization because they believe autism should be eradicated and fixed. So they're not necessarily trying to like be a voice.
It just sounds like Sia didn't do her homework here.
Well, that's the thing. She sounds super ignorant here, and that's the thing. I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert on the subject or whatnot, but I do know that just because you're autistic, some of the most intelligent, talented, capable people are autistic, and it's not out the realm of possibility that you can find a person who is autistic that are super talented actors, which is why it's super because within a couple of minutes she found somebody on Twitter that was like, I'm really capable of this role. It just seems like she didn't really do her homework in finding that, and I'm totally with it. It's the same thing. If I was a black person, I didn't get a black person to play the role about playing a black person, I'd be kind of feeling away. So
I mean, man, that was a problem like decades ago, and that seems something like, like representation isn't a unilateral thing. Like it's not just we should represent
one thing,
people of color, or we should represent black people and things. Like it's
or women,
like
it's everything.
Yeah, exactly. It goes like much deeper than that.
Yeah.
So,
Intersectionality.
exactly.
I think this is like a potentially bigger conversation because for the movie pod you all always talk about, because a lot of people have been saying, well, there have been other roles. I can't remember the specific movies, but there have been other roles where people have portrayed disabled characters and they've not actually been disabled.
It used to be like Oscar bait.
Yeah, they've gone on to be award-winning, amazing movies.
Leonardo.
And Sia's kind of saying like,
Daniel
why don't you
Day-Lewis.
watch my movie and like the good intent behind it before you judge it? Because it brings up the conversation: should people outside of a community be able to portray certain roles? And we know that there's been like a line drawn for like when it comes to race, but the disabled community is a community of their own, and they should be able to have the representation. So it's just a conversation that I think.
Well, you remember the Scarlett Johansson thing? She played an Asian woman in a movie.
Yeah.
And
I can play a tree.
She said, I can play whatever I want. I can play a tree. This was really interesting. It's a really interesting conversation.
It's really interesting. Yeah.
And representation.
So 97 Demo Movie Pod. Stay tuned.
It seems like Sia is kind of getting a taste of like, I want to do something creative, but you kind of got to do your homework too, girl. Like it's more than just
exactly.
more than just doing a creative project. And
she's been working with Maddie Ziegler for like years now.
And a lot of people kind of point to that too. And a lot of people are saying like, Sia, you're saying you tried to cast disabled actors, but Maddie Ziegler was about to get this role. You were about to pick Maddie Ziegler.
Like,
come on.
14.
At least I respect to keep that girl getting a check. But y'all, so I'm excited to get into this next story because I didn't even know this. Cardi B has been named Billboard's Woman of the Year this year, and almost immediately faced criticism because it's like, for what? She released just one song this year. Granted, that one song has been huge. And that's sort of Cardi B's argument here. Like, yeah, I made one song, but I broke streaming records. I broke selling records. It was #1 for weeks. It was like Fox News people were talking about it. Like, I deserve to be Woman of the Year. And a lot of people are saying, but is there a standard we can see in that an artist who just released one song can be named Billboard Music Woman of the Year when there's other female artists who have just produced much more music and have been just as vocal about politics? So it's been a really interesting conversation. She replied to it by saying, as you can see here, yes, I'm Woman of the Year. And for you crybabies that are like, she only has one song, yeah, I got that song. The one that sold most, the one that streamed the most, the one that had the Republicans crying on Fox News about it. The one that is about to be 6 times platinum in 3 months, the one that had your grandma popping the one that had your grandma dancing on TikTok. Yeah, that one. And I just wanted to have this conversation with you guys because what are your takes? I'm just what thoughts?
Well, there's the thing. I think I have 2 thoughts. First of all, she did have basically one of the biggest songs of the year, if you could argue the biggest song of the year too. Because it's still in the top 5, I'm pretty sure, or top 10, essentially top 10 probably. I hear the argument of like she didn't release the album, but I would say her impact also because she did a lot of other things too. Just because of like who she is, I'm not necessarily against it because I know she did that whole thing with the OnlyFans thing where she's not doing like any like sex work, but she's like doing like she's on there talking like she did other things. I like to believe. I know I don't have like a list.
She's right here talking about her political advocacy that she was doing this year for the elections.
I mean, exactly. I'm not saying it's like deserving. I'm not saying like she should have got it, but I'm not necessarily against it because Cardi B's impact at this point is really high. So if Beyonce did one song and she got Woman of the Year, we'd be like, oh yeah, she probably did a lot of other things.
No, I'm not sure Beyonce. No, I don't think Beyonce could release one song and get Woman of the Year.
Yes, she could.
The bar is so much higher. No, I'm sorry. I think the bar is so much higher for Beyonce. I don't think Beyonce could release a single that does well than be named Woman of the Year because I think everyone would expect Beyonce to follow up.
Okay, if she did one song and that's it, I'm saying that's why I said the other things Cardi B did. I'm saying if Beyonce could do one song and then do other things and people be like, oh my God, she didn't just release an album. She made a movie. She was doing this, and obviously Beyonce's a bigger artist, obviously. But I'm saying she did this and that, and that's why she got Woman of the Year. I'm just saying like, I'm not saying she deserved it, but maybe they were looking at other things she was involved in too. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not saying that would have been my vote. I'm not saying it's just the one song. I'm not saying that's the only reason she got it. I know that's the reason she pointed out.
I think even if we're talking about WAP, and listen, we're all rooting for Cardi B on this, right? We all are. But I'm like, even if we're just doing this one song, it would make more sense to me if Megan Thee Stallion was Woman of the Year than it does for Cardi B. And I'm not trying to compare women. I hate that that's how this comes off. I'm just saying strictly from like a Billboard music standpoint, one has done more music-wise this year. One had Savage and WAP, two of the biggest collabs of the year. It's hard for me to understand how these decisions are made, and therefore have faith in like the decision making of like who's like Woman of the Year, Artist of the Year from Billboard's designation, if like it doesn't really make sense like this to me. Like I get there's other stuff, but is your OnlyFans and political activism, are those considered
what's
like
the
pegs for how we decide who,
like does this really matter? Like what's the point of this? At the end of the day, what this does is it ends up like heightening someone else's stuff and then like taking away from what other people have done. When in reality,
it's just like another award. It's literally like just another award show.
Well, the crazy part, I've never heard of Billboard doing this. This is the first one for Billboard's Woman of the Year.
Are y'all serious? Y'all, they do this every single year. Last year, I think, was Ariana Grande. The year before was like Taylor Swift.
I'm just saying. Well, the thing is, it's not like a big deal. It's not like I'm about to go crazy, but it's not like, oh my gosh.
Beyonce was 1 year.
I'm just saying,
we need to keep going, but
yeah,
like I don't know. I think at the end of the day, like these things are really inconsequential, and I think it's more important to recognize the achievements of like multiple different women, especially, and not just like one. So
we've been chilling on these headlines. We've been chilling on these headlines.
Yeah. Well, no, we told them 30 minutes. So this one, I'm just making sure we keep track with that. The last one is and the last one, which I did not mean to put like this. Right after the Cardi B one, but Pink Friday turned 10, and then Nicki Minaj proceeded.
You just made it a thing by saying that.
HBO Max. Well, I was just like, no, I didn't want it to be an elephant in the room. And then she announced a 6-part HBO Max documentary series. I thought really cool. I think I'm always a fan of the hustle.
Is it going to be about? I haven't read this, but is it going to be about her making the Pink Friday album, or is it just about her in general?
It is. I'm pretty sure the wording was just like, is going to show her personal and professional journey from from something to something. I think it starts there, but like continues to go on, like to show the professional and personal journey. Which also I look at as like, wow, to have enough fortitude to say I'm going to make a documentary eventually and just always record things from like point A to point B,
Oh, that is cool. Hold on. Go up. Because you see it says Pink Friday anniversary has also been marked the release of complete edition of the album.
Yeah,
you see on the album, if you go down, it has like
5 songs, I think.
And you see it has Bedrock on there, which is obviously a Young Money song. So it's like including the songs that like
it also has a new version. It also has a new version of Roman's Revenge, which had Eminem, but with Lil Wayne's verse.
Yeah, it kind of seems like they're doing the lead up of like all the songs that like kind of led up to like her getting popping too, because Bedrock was on that Young Money thing, when they were on the come up too, when that was a thing, what I'm saying, as a group. But that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. HBO Max is trying to get their bread up to kind of get viewerships and subscriptions, because apparently they're not as high as they want to be.
This is a great way to get the barbs to subscribe to HBO Max.
Well, that and then
I think this is smart. And honestly, I think HBO Max has kept me with their shows, but that's a different podcast. And while we're talking about anniversaries, is also My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy's 10-year anniversary. Those 2 albums came out like on different days the same week. So shout out
to them. That's crazy. Yeah.
Y'all, let's get into new releases. We can fly by a whole bunch of music this week. New albums by Megan Thee Stallion, DaBaby, Meek Mill, Kali Uchis, BTS, and a whole bunch of singles too. What did you guys listen to this week, and what were your faves?
Well, Kali Uchis was my the number one I was waiting on this whole time, which is kind of be representing my project lead. But yeah, I was really interested in this, and obviously it was a whole because when you see
for our audio listeners, name of the album.
Oh, Sin Miedo. I don't want to say that incorrectly. Sin Miedo. That's what I feel like it is. I took Spanish in high school, guys. I took 4 years of Spanish in high school. Yeah, I was really excited about this album. And when because I usually download the albums with all the singles, on there, the album before. So then when it's ready, it just comes back it's in my library. But I downloaded it and it said R&B soul. All the names were in Spanish. But then when I downloaded it, it says a Latin album. So it's a Latin album. So I'm not gonna say that's necessarily like my wheelhouse of what I listen to, but I enjoy it because it's Kali Uchis, because I like her voice. So
she goes back and forth too. It sounds good.
Yeah, but it seems like more than like the last album, she's Spanish way more on here. Like she's speaking a lot of Spanish. I'm not gonna act like I understand what she's saying, but it sounds good. So
it sounds good. It sounds really good.
It sounds good. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So that was my highlight of the week. Cool. What about you guys?
Avery, what were you listening to this week?
I listened to the Meg Thee Stallion album. I enjoyed it,
thoughts?
but we'll have further thoughts next week. We do a review on the album. I enjoyed that. One of my favorite bands released 2 new songs this week. Bleachers. They released a song called 45 and another one called Chinatown. Do you guys remember the band Fun?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the guitarist from that band, after they broke up, created this band called Bleachers.
I think you told us
And
that, but
Yeah, and
I
these
think
are
you
the
told us
first 2
that.
singles from their 3rd album that's going to come out next year.
Is Bruce Springsteen on both songs or just one of them?
He's just on Chinatown, but it's really cool because like for years he's been citing Bruce Springsteen as like his biggest inspiration because he's from Jersey and Bruce Springsteen's from Jersey, and like to like see them like collab on a song now is like really cool.
Gotcha.
So I loved both these songs because I love Bleachers. So
I have a song that I would listen to, but I don't know if it might be Nnamdi. So what was some of the songs or albums you listen to? I feel like this one's gonna be yours, but
Okay, well now you put the pressure on. But
No,
I
I'm
also listen to, as far as albums, I listen to Good News. We'll talk about it next week by Meg Thee Stallion. I will say Deep Tease. I like the intro a lot. Shots Fired. I like how she sampled the Biggie song. Big fan of that one. Didn't listen to the Baby album. I'll jump back to it, but I'm honestly not confident the flow's gonna be different. So I don't know. That kind of sounds horrible. I take that back. But songs though, I will say to me this was a bigger singles week for me. I listened to Pick Up Your Feelings, Jasmine Sullivan, and then Sending My Love by Chloe and Halle, which were both which were both great to me. I also listened to Pepper and Onion, Sarawak, and then 10 Missed Calls by Black Coffee, who doesn't get, if you are familiar with my Passion Fruit playlist on Spotify, that would go there. It's just like a feel-good summer song. I'm kind of confused why it's coming out.
Promote.
Little promo there. Yeah. And then last thing I'll say, there's just 2 more, because I big singles week for me. James Blake put out another song, the first time I saw your face. The man doesn't miss.
Just take all my songs. Just take all the songs.
Sorry, he just doesn't miss. And then I did like this. We talked about Justin Bieber's last collab. I like this monster Shawn Mendes Justin Bieber thing. I was a fan of that. And that's all I did this week. No, did I say your song?
No, I thought you were gonna say Wildlings by Toby Nwigwe and Earth Gang and Duckworth.
I kind of feel really, and I put that on here solely to highlight it this week. I kind of feel horrible for forgetting.
You didn't listen to
Wildlings, all caps. No, I did. I put it on here to talk about it, but when you put pressure on me, so in this list I'm naming like all the songs to try to get off.
Well, Wildlings is good, and I really like Toby. I want to say his name, Toby Nwigwe. Toby Nwigwe. Nwigwe, yeah, okay, Toby Nwigwe. Yeah, exactly. I heard somebody review it and they said Nwigwe, but I was like, Nnamdi's Nigerian, and it makes sense.
I don't think it's Nwigwe.
That's what they said, and I was like, I don't know if that's sure, but Toby Nwigwe. I really enjoy this. He's really dope, man. He's from Texas and everything like that, so he's really good. It kind of makes sense that he's worked with Earth Gang. Duckworth's good too, but yeah, it was a good song. The music video is good too. I'm pretty sure they released a music video. I think I watched it, but yeah, so yeah, that was good.
And that is Earth Gang and Toby Nwigwe like colliding are like my 2 favorite worlds now becoming one. So really quick upcoming. Yeah, and we don't have to spend too much time here, but really quick, these are the songs that are, by the time this comes out, will debut within like the next 2 days. The only thing that I see making a huge impact is this is sort of off, because I know this Nav album I think is already charted.
Yeah, that's like the bonus version. Yeah.
But we did have but Pluto, Baby Pluto, that's going to be charting this week. I could see that doing something. Therefore I Am by Billie Eilish will be coming in. Holiday, Lil Nas X. So
NBA Youngboy is probably going to be up there somewhere.
2 Chainz, hopefully.
Exactly.
That was good.
So the sole point of this is to remind ourselves that next week when we record, to come check to see where some of these albums landed. But I think we will have a different top 5 on both the Billboard and the Hot 100 because of these lists. So
you think Billie Eilish is top 10?
Time. Oh yeah, I think Billie Eilish is now at a point where if she puts out a single, it's probably going to be top 10.
Plus, it's a great song.
She's there at the moment.
It's a good song,
and I like it. Yeah.
What about Holiday?
It's catchy enough to be up there.
It's gonna chart. It's
catchy enough to be on there.
I'm not asking if it's gonna chart. I'm saying where though.
I'd say like the 20s.
My taste isn't representative of his fan base. Is what
I just say top.
So I think
I'm just guessing.
To it, top 30.
I'm just guessing top 25.
Yeah, I'd say top 30.
Okay. We'll remember that.
So let's try to. We're getting to our 35-minute mark, so I'm just gonna blow through the charts, run down really quick. But starting on the Billboard 200, not too many changes there from what we talked about last week. Ariana Grande positions holding at number 1 for a second week. Pop Smoke now number 2, moving up 1 after 19 weeks on the chart. Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon. Kid Laroi has his album that I don't feel comfortable cursing, so I'm not gonna say it, but F Word Love. And we're going to talk about this at some point because I'm seeing here. Why did this jump? Was there a deluxe that was released? It went from 81 to 3. And this is its 16th week on the chart.
He came out with another album last week.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a deluxe or something.
Yeah, he came out with another album. I don't know if it was a new album. I was like, Avery, I remember listening because I was like, Avery, is this a TikTok guy? He's like, yeah. So I don't know if this is deluxe.
Yeah, he came out with like yeah, he came out the deluxe.
Okay. There we go. Explanation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Luke Combs is still sitting pretty at number 4, and then King Von rounding out the top 5.
You called it. You said it was going to get a bump, unfortunately, because of his death, but you said it was going to get a bump.
It's really sad, but I'm happy. And we can talk about it later, but he's actually on here quite a bit. And we may not have time to talk about it, but he has like 2 other projects that are on here also, I believe. Somewhere like within the top. Because I was just scrolling and I remember seeing it. But yeah.
Nav's album is debuting at number 6.
Which, quick shout out to Nav. I'm pretty sure it's a mixtape. So, hey, kudos to him for being able to, like, I'm now realizing that I don't know if that's an actual album, but kudos.
Well, it's a mixtape it's a mixtape that he sold.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so
kudos to that.
Yeah, so any other standouts on the top 200 guys? Oh, more
than
the
King Von album.
At number 40.
LeVon James.
Kodak Black at number 52.
How is he releasing music?
Wait, that's a wait a second, guys.
They got a studio in there?
Well, they make it work. Have you seen Empire?
You're right.
Have you seen Empire? You remember that episode? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It was Terrence Howard because he was in Hustle and Flow too. But that movie was terrible too. But yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta go get it.
Over on the Hot 100, Mood is still number 1. Then we have Positions number 2. I Hope number 3. I haven't heard that song. Laugh Now, Cry Later 4. And Blinding Lights still number 5 after 50 weeks. Avery, do you know who Gabby Barrett is? And have you heard the song I Hope? I feel like it may be related through TikTok.
Yes, he does.
I feel like it's a TikTok song.
No.
I've probably heard it. I just don't know if I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that sounds like TikTok people. That sounds like TikTok people. So yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
WAP left the top 10.
Who? What left the? Oh, I did say. Oh, see, and I just caught myself earlier. I said it was top 10.
Yeah.
Now
there you go. 14 weeks. I think that is worthwhile achievement because it's been after 14 weeks and it's been like a good number of those weeks at number 1. Now,
true.
Never mind. Let's just keep on going. Yeah, I didn't really have any other big notes. King Von has a couple tracks on here, so rest in peace, King Von.
Bless you, thanks.
But yeah, y'all, 24 Bang by AJR. Have y'all heard that song before?
What's the song?
Which one?
Bang AJR 24 on the chart. Have y'all heard that before?
No. Is it good?
Y'all, I went to a Kroger and they played that song.
It's good.
And that song's a hit. That song's a pop hit. That's a top tier. That's a top tier track.
You must have been in Atlanta. You must have been in Atlanta. Yeah.
I was.
They ain't in New York.
But I just wanted to. We gonna listen to that and talk about it next week. That may be my project of the week. Stay tuned.
Wow.
It might be.
Okay, we don't need to spend more time on this. I'm excited. Oh, What This Beat About debuted at number 35. That was the last thing I wanted to say. But I'm excited about the discussion we're having. Grammy noms are coming out next week. The award shows in 2 months, and Avery had a wonderful idea. Avery, walk us through it.
Yeah, so I just thought, I've had a lot of Okay, Noah started with the idea. Yeah, Noah started with the idea.
Okay, hey, we can all be a team idea and acknowledge who kind of gave us the blueprint for the idea that we built upon, okay? It's fine. Avery gave us the blueprint, okay?
I say my pitch, Avery's blueprint. My pitch, Avery's blueprint.
Noah came to us with the idea, and then it was elaborated upon.
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Anyways, we just thought ahead of the Grammy nominations being announced on Tuesday, and the Latin Grammys actually just happened, but ahead of the Grammy nominations being announced on Tuesday, we thought it would be important to look back on the history of the Grammys, particularly their history with Black artists, as it relates to hip hop as a genre and their historic misrepresentation of hip hop as a genre and the Grammys. Particularly because we think this is a pretty strong year for hip hop, and there's been some incredible hip hop albums that we are kind of afraid, I guess, are going to, what's the best way to say it? Fly under the radar in the sights of the Recording Academy. So I don't really have much of a blueprint for us to like go through a discussion here. I thought we could just talk because we usually are pretty good at that. I have a list here of some artists who have never won a competitive Grammy, and also albums that never won Album of the Year by some very notable artists. And there's a trend here. There you go.
You guys, before we even get into this discussion, actually, I don't even want to start on what I was going to say, because I want us to get into the awards, the new categories at some point, but I feel like that should come later once we talk about this.
I like that.
The Grammys, as Avery so eloquently laid out, have constantly faced backlash for almost universally leaving out Black and brown artists from certain categories. It's the reason why some artists cringe when they hear urban contemporary, because it almost always means the Black category. It's the reason why Beyonce has like, I think a dozen or so wins, if not even, maybe even more, like nearly 20 wins
like 20
in urban categories.
20. Yeah.
Because she's one of the most awarded female acts in urban categories. But ask me how many she has in pop vocal, or how many she has. She's never won Album of the Year, and you start realizing how ridiculous that is. It's the reason that Rihanna doesn't tend to win those categories. I do think Loud did win. It's the reason why it took years for Jay-Z to get a nom. Nicki Minaj still doesn't have a nom. Kanye West actually has a whole bunch of noms, so he doesn't fit this. But he's had some pretty good albums that have not been shown the love they deserve. It's the reason why Macklemore beat Kendrick Lamar. It's the reason why it's a constant discussion of what happens when you have an award show where the awarding system is based on a certain group of prestigious voters, invite-only group, that you don't really know what they look like. It's available information, but they don't release stats on the racial makeup of these groups. So you have people who may be completely detached from the mainstream music scene, or may be completely detached by what people are actually listening to and enjoy, and may not be completely aware of the impact of an album like Lemonade, ultimately deciding who gets this award that carries so much weight in both the minds of artists and fans alike, because that's still a stat. Grammys are still a stat, you know. And I think it's why you have, and I think it's why at this point you have artists who have just said, "I'm done. Like I'm not gonna continue." I'll never forget Dreamville. They were nominated last year for, I think it was like Album of the Year.
It was rap
album. Dreamville collab that they did.
Best rap album
of the year. Yes, excuse me, best rap album. And they decided not to even show up. Because one, they probably could guess that they weren't going to win. But
it was only a couple of them. Yeah.
You know, and J. Cole, I believe, won his first 2 Grammys at last year's award. And that's also one thing to think about. His first 2 Grammys were won just last year.
You have artists that won't even submit their albums for Grammy consideration. I think I have like Blonde down here, but I don't even think Frank Ocean submitted that for Grammy nominations.
I think that's the crazy thing, because I think this, first of all, I don't remember if Nnamdi mentioned this. Tell me if you did, but we're doing this because obviously the nominations are coming out this week. I believe on Tuesday, exactly. It's the exact day it's coming out. The nominations are coming out. But I think within the last, decade, I would say, it's become more public knowledge in terms of like what the public knows about, in terms of how the Grammy nominations are done and how the Grammy winners are picked. So I think sometimes people just like, oh my gosh, who's picking these winners? Da, da, da. And I think it's become more readily, out there information that about how the winners of these categories, especially these top categories, are picked, and how it's very political. That's in all, whether it's the Oscars, Grammys, they both received a lot of backlash on this. So I think it's really interesting that we're talking about it now, because now people, especially in the last couple of years, have been like this. Who cares about the Grammys? People have said that, artists have come out and said that. Carter said, we don't need their validation. Why are we coming out here for validation? And some artists are still very, very frustrated about it. And I've kind of always had this thing about the Grammys, because I'm like, man, like kind of like the Kanye thing. Like Kanye's like, man, I remember he came up when that one artist, I forgot the exact name, where the artist won Album of the Year at Grammy, and he was about to walk up and he walked back. Remember, he was like, nah, he did that. And my thing was like, man, I really think that some of these albums, like, man, they really should have won Album of the Year. But sometimes I'm kind of being like, because I'm like, dang, those other albums that won, I didn't listen to, so I can't like definitively say.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a two-way street, but I definitely agree that there's definitely a limit.
Like in the past, and it's definitely been changing, but in the past we would treat awards like Oscars or Grammys like, like super like championship rings. You'd be like, oh, this artist is better than this one because Kanye is better than whoever because he has 21 Grammys and this artist doesn't have any. But I feel like now that's if someone said that in an argument, you're like, so what? Like,
so yeah,
like, who cares?
Exactly.
Like, good for them. But
yeah,
when you see artists like Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Public Enemy, Nas don't have Grammys, you're like, well, what's the validity of these things?
Yeah. And the ones, if our audio listeners, Avery has highlighted all the black artists on here. There's obviously white artists on here, like the Beach Boys. I was freaking surprised that they don't have a
Queen,
exactly. Guns N' Roses.
Surprising.
It's and Kiss, all these other artists that don't have Grammys, which is really very, very, very interesting.
But
so yeah,
let me tell you why that actually makes complete sense to me. With the exception of Diana Ross, who I'm actually very surprised doesn't have a Grammy, but everyone else on this list. To me, it goes all the way back to the Recording Academy voters, who've almost always tended to skew older and white. That's not new. They've always skewed older and white. And one thing, all of these acts that have never won a Grammy, like the thing that comes to mind is they're all pretty rebellious, or at least at the time they were peaking, they were looked at as being rebellious against the mainstream. Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Public Enemy. Those three alone. They're not older white men aren't going to want to award you. They're not. Exactly. Bob Marley, Guns N' Roses, Jimi Hendrix, Kiss at the peak of rock wasn't readily accepted into the mainstream. It just forced its way into the mainstream. Avery, is that fair to say? I'm going to say it feels right.
You also have like the guy who created rock and roll right here, and Chuck Berry, who's never won a competitive Grammy.
So it's unfortunately not even surprising to an extent, because it's the same narrative of, if you don't fit into a certain mold of what the Academy deems a Grammy winner, if you aren't someone like, I always point to her, who I love, but has almost been bred to win Grammys. She was performing at little Grammy pre-shows and Recording Academy concerts for years before she got her first Grammy. And I think a lot of people will often ask themselves, it's kind of crazy that, her isn't all that big on like a commercial stage, but still has won so many Grammys. She won Best R&B Album, I think, on what was, she accepted it. She said this wasn't even an album, it was an EP. And a lot of people look at that and you have to say, well, it makes sense when you realize that since 14, she's been performing at these Grammy Awards just in front of recording voting members. There's a certain category of artists and things that are expected of you to even be considered from these voters. So I think that's the first problem. The second thing I wanted to add to that, and I dropped this link at the bottom. You don't even have to open to it. But do you remember what the hashtags surrounding the Grammys were in 2017 and 2018? Same thing that was surrounding the Oscars.
The Oscars.
Grammy
like
so white.
Make the yeah, I got you. Yeah, the Grammy So White.
Grammy So White. And I picked this specific year in 2017 because this is the year that 25 beat Lemonade for Album of the Year. I don't think there's a person in America who can walk back the cultural impact that Lemonade had in 2017. From the Super Bowl performance that had people pissed because she played Formation, from the exuberance of Black culture and Black excellence and Black empowerment, from the artistry of the album, from the nuanced writing, it was the epitome of the Album of the Year. Adele, the year prior in November, came out with 25, which, listen, I love 25, great album, but I feel if you ask the average person which had more of an impact on music, even if you don't like Beyonce, you know what you're gonna say.
Hold on. I'm with you, okay? And I think we also got to think about the demographic we're living in the United States of America, unfortunately. But no, I don't say, but it's just time living. I think all of this, why I also believe that Black artists have been super underrepresented, represented in terms of the Grammys and the amount of Grammys they have, obviously. It's just a representation of the country we live in. Obviously, there's a slew of Black artists, but because of the time we live in, I guarantee within the Grammys were and like what we're up to now. Obviously, right now there's more Black artists than ever, I would say, but I wouldn't say there was hundreds and hundreds of Black artists in the mainstream in the 1950s up to 1970s or something like that. And while I also agree with you, Nnamdi, about the thing about Beyonce, about whole cultural impact. And of course, obviously, white people love Beyonce too. I'm not saying that either. But when you're talking about the cultural impact, there's only black people are really truly gonna understand the cultural impact of that. I don't know if an old white guy is gonna see.
I completely disagree.
Hold on. I don't know if an old white guy is gonna be like, wow, she stood up to the Grammys and got backlash for that. That's why she gets the Grammy. I can't see it.
Well,
I can't. I'm just saying.
SNL skit around that. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It was
Yeah,
after the Formation music video came out. It was the day Beyonce turned black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I can't.
I remember that exactly. Yeah.
I just can't see an old white voter finding. No, I'm not saying that's not a big deal. I can find a black person appreciating that. I'm not saying I can find a white person seeing that as like, oh, that was a dub.
No, I hear you. And I agree. But I think the things you have to remember is a cultural impact doesn't mean you're standing up for my culture. It means you've disrupted the culture. If you're a white person, when Formation came out, when Lemonade came out, your culture was disrupted. Whether you enjoyed it or not, you were aware that there was an album that came out that was suddenly talking about all these things that had 13% of the population riled up, and you were aware of that impact. So I don't think it's that. And I think, Noah, what you're speaking to is a greater conversation like we're getting back to about the diversity of the Recording Academy.
Yeah.
But I point to this year again, and to finish that point that I was trying to say, it's Grammy So White was sort of this denotation of a feeling that we've all experienced, of the fact that the voters, you have white voters that are supposed to be speaking on the music industry, but the music industry, as far as successful acts, have been dominated by Black artists for the last 20 to 30 years. The people at the top have always, from early 2000s when rap first started to eclipse pop in numbers, to now where rap is officially, without a doubt, and rap, R&B, urban music is officially, not in doubt, the best-selling, the most competitive music we have right now. And you can tell that because now you have country artists that are now rapping in their music. You have rock artists who have more of a gritty hip-hop feel to them. You have, there's all these integrations that now incorporate rap music and Black music. But the problem is that's never really appreciated or shown at these award shows. And that's the problem. When Adele won Album of the Year over Lemonade that year, and something that not even the sternest of critics would have predicted. We all knew Adele had a good shot because she's Adele and it was a good album. But when that happened, what that told me was you really do have to work twice as hard to get half the praise. And Adele knew that. It's why she went up to the award show that year and didn't even want to claim the award. She said, I think Beyonce should have won this. It's like, what does this woman have to do to get a Grammy
Nnamdi,
to win Album of the Year? I think she literally said that. Wait, I'm not arguing. I'm not saying you're arguing with me. I just want to get this point out.
Of course.
So like, I think when you remember that, and it's the same thing with Macklemore, it does the artist no justice when they're winning an award that they know they probably don't deserve. Macklemore literally apologized to Kendrick Lamar for winning, I don't want to be rude though, but to me, that is a more egregious example than even the Beyonce, because at least people with Adele could say, you know how much that album sold? You know how many people that album was record breaking? I don't know how much that album sold, like 10 million one week. It was so ridiculous. But if we're talking about sales, I'm pretty sure Macklemore probably had a better commercial year than Kendrick Lamar that year. As shocking as that may be to believe.
No, I got you. It's just to me that feels like a more like egregious example, because I'm saying like, if you can't say, because I was saying Adele was like historically popular in terms of how many people bought that album. Like it was ridiculous, historically popular. Good Kid, Bad City. I don't want to get on a rant. I'm saying that's just more of an egregious, but they're both examples. I was just saying, I'm not saying there's an argument, and I'm getting your point. Obviously, I'm just saying like it's really unfortunate because like at the time, of course, it's just I agree you're that kind of person, so you can look at it as like unbiasedly like wow, because like it's Beyonce. Everybody we know loves Beyonce. The cultural impact for Black people, of course, we feel the impact of Beyonce. It's just like, if you go, it's kind of like, I hate to make an example, but it's kind of like American Idol, okay? Stay where I'm at, okay? I remember there was one year, there was a guy, his name was David Archuleta. He was a singer. He was by far the best artist on American Idol. I remember it was the finale, and I remember on the finale of American Idol, they do 3 songs, and they each sing 3 songs. And David Archuleta, they were like, oh my gosh, you killed every song. And the other white guy, I would say, he was like, on every song. They were like, you could have done this, but David Archuleta, by far. But I'm saying, when you think about the audience of America, it's white people. It's white people.
But the audience of America.
I'm saying the audience of America. By default, I'm sorry. I'm saying I feel you. I'm saying Beyonce. I'm not saying white people don't love Beyonce. I'm not saying that. Of course, white people love Beyonce. She had to. White people have to love Beyonce to get this far. I'm just saying they're always going to skew towards the white artist who is just as big, I just feel that's
I
gonna
know,
happen.
but I think you're speaking more like we know that. Like that's why we're doing this episode, because that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, you're skewing
Absolutely.
the voters, the 9,000 or so voters that determine who wins Grammys were white and older people that were always going to skew to a whiter artist.
Absolutely.
Now, luckily, they're trying to change that. But I'm saying, like you mentioned in Macklemore and all these examples, it's sad to watch who has had their, what some may consider some of their best work, critically ignored at the Grammys because of that. Because even Adele doesn't think that she had a better album than Beyonce.
I agree.
I don't know. I think that's just a point there.
Avery, what do you think? Avery, what do you think has to change for this to kind of be like, other than just because also I think other people don't want to feel like this is like a pity award, like, oh, they got it just because they're Black type thing. Like, I don't think artists want to feel that either. Hey, what do you think has to be done for there to be some kind of balance in terms of who's getting this and feel like, wow, they actually did the right thing here? What do you think has to happen?
I think it's happening right now. I think we as like people, as just like normal people who watch these things, like we need to stop placing so much value on these awards. Recognize how silly it is, for one, to place so much emphasis on art, or like place so much like emphasis on criticism of art, because at the end of the day, that's what these award shows are, right? Like, you're ranking art, something so subjective. Like, how can you say this is the best art? You know, like this, like you go into a museum, the three of us are walking into a museum, I'm gonna think one painting's better than one that you guys think is better, or like, you know, one piece of art like speaks to me more than another one, right? And that's just represented in our music taste as well. Like, I think as people, we need to just like be like, okay, these are cool for like discussions, this is cool because like I like watching the performances during these things, but at the same time being like, okay, like a Grammy's not the end all be all of like this means the most.
That is a really good point, because although music is art, we kind of look at it as a sport. Yeah. Like, there's a definitive and everything.
Perfect segue here, because the thing that made me like really think about this topic was Drake. Sorry if you guys remember, Drake won Best Rap Song for God's Plan. He wasn't even expected to be at the Grammys this year. He showed up surprising everyone and went up to accept his award. And he said, I want to take this opportunity while I'm up here to just talk to all the kids that are watching this, aspiring to do music, all my peers that make music from their heart, that do things pure and tell the truth. I want to let you know that we're playing in an opinion-based sport, not a factual-based sport. So it's not the NBA where at the end of the year, you're holding a trophy because you made the right decisions or won the games. He then got cut off by the Grammys during this speech.
Yeah, that was a big topic. That was a big kind of like controversy.
They really cut him off after this?
Yeah, remember that was the whole thing.
I think he was cut. I don't know. They didn't cut him off because of this. I think he just talked a long time.
Well, no, he said this is a business where sometimes it's up to a bunch of people who might not understand what a mixed race kid from Canada has to say, or a fly Spanish girl from New York, or anybody else, or a brother from Houston right here, my brother Travis. But my point is, you've already won if you have people singing your songs word for word, if you're a hero in your hometown. Look, if there's people who have regular jobs who are coming out in the rain, in the snow, spending their hard-earned money to buy tickets to come to your shows, you don't need this right here. I promise you, you've already won.
I guarantee you wrote that down, but it's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, and that's the point. I completely. Cut to commercial before Drake finished speaking.
Yeah. See, they cut him off.
Wait, hold on. What did this?
This was a thing.
This guy, and this guy, in my opinion, Ken Elrich or whatever, Elrich is whatever his name is. I don't want to make anything too controversial, but I remember him because this isn't the first time. Like, he's the longtime producer, so at the end of the day, he's the one who makes the decisions to cut you off, and that's one of those things that's like cringeworthy almost. But I think Drake absolutely has a point. But what I would answer to that and say is, the Grammy isn't a sport, in my opinion, fully because of us. The Grammy is a sport because artists have placed value in a Grammy and attaining a Grammy. That's the goal. The Grammy isn't a sport because of us. The Grammy is a sport because people rap and will say, I have a Grammy. It's because people will talk about the artists that don't have Grammys. Part of Beyonce's like critical appeal is the fact that people can say she has 20 something Grammys. It's like, I completely agree with you that we as the collective should say, this is all subjective. We shouldn't have we should kind of just let it go at some point. But I think that takes away from the fact that a lot of artists need that competitive nature to produce the music. It is a sport for them, literally.
That's fair. But I think it's changing too, because I don't think like NBA YoungBoy fans are ever going to be pressed that he ever never won a Grammy. Yeah. I don't think NBA YoungBoy himself, who's one of the most popular artists this year, is going to be mad that he's never won a Grammy. He's made his money with his fans.
to that point, I think a newer artist like YBN Cordae could eventually say, "I want a Grammy. Or I don't have a Grammy." I think
He was nominated last
I'm
year.
sure it'd be nice. Like, I'm sure they're like, yeah, it'd be nice to like have an award to recognize my work, but I don't think like, he's like, okay, I'm dating Naomi Osaka. I've made millions on my great music. I have fans that love it and are spending money to come see me. Like Drake said, like a Grammy would be cool. It would be nice to get recognized for my work, but I'm not gonna like lose sleep over it. I'm not gonna be like Kanye and his albums, on his songs like 21 Grammys, Superstar Family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also kind of going to Avery, Nnamdi's point, it's kind of easier said than done.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of artists could say that. A lot of fans will say that. But when the Grammys come out, we're all gonna watch it, and we're all gonna be like, "Wow!" Sure. We're all gonna watch it. We're all gonna, and even
they're fun to argue about.
Well, yeah, of course, they're fun. I mean, everything. Yeah, of course, we like arguing, of course. But I'm saying people are still gonna care. We're still gonna be like, "I can't believe I didn't win. I can't believe this one was like, yes, this artist won." It's always gonna happen. It's always gonna happen. But
award show ratings have been like diving in recent years.
Yeah, but I always point to like that's live TV in general. Like, why are we making fun of award shows? But to your point, they have been falling. But you guys, I want to turn to the voting, the changes to the actual Grammy voters. Because at the end of the day, all these problems are they're the results of a lack of representation at the top. So the Academy has 14. What?
Go ahead. I was gonna say I could have ran down, but go ahead. I was gonna run down the thing, but you go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
I mean, do you want to ride? Do you want to? You just cut
no,
me
it's
off
cool.
to
It's
say
cool.
you
It's cool.
wanted to do it? Like,
I kind of wanted to. I kind of like read. I thought I was gonna read the thing, but it's okay. Go ahead.
The Recording Academy has 14,500 members. Of that block, 26% female, 69% male. And get this, y'all, they don't reveal the true racial makeup. They just say 25% diverse, 48% non-diverse. What that means, no clue. But that's how they break it down. This year, they invited 2,300 people to join the Academy. The way that breaks down, 48% female, 48% male, 37% diverse, 50% non-diverse. Why are we happy about that? That's still not that great. And it did reveal Black representation specifically, saying that the 11% of the new voting membership class are Black people.
Well, that's the thing too. Don't artists, the Academy, what if they call it the Academy? Artists can be a part of it. It's just they have to actually like get a letter, they have to sign up, or they have to apply or something like this, something like that. Right, Nnamdi? I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before, but the Academy is not like a thing. It's like you have to be a certain level or something like that. It's like there's things, and artists can vote on it too. And they have to, submit their albums too. It's not like just a thing. There's a whole process behind it. I think.
Yeah, we talked about it once, and I'm trying to remember, and I can't. Yeah, but I do know that you're right. Like they do invite a whole bunch of people.
The thing is, there's a process behind the whole thing. There's a process behind the whole thing of being on the Academy, being an artist that's able to vote, submitting the album, make sure it gets approved, all that stuff. There's a whole process behind it, which I'm not speaking for artists. Obviously, I'm not one, but I think there's a process behind it that I don't think artists are aware of. Or very, I wouldn't say they're aware of, but they're kind of unable. I'm not saying they're not the most educated on how to complete that process, but it's a problem too. So I think it's also obviously it's on the fans, to not care as much, or, if for things to change, or for them to demand change. And I think that's happening. We're noticing these things, but I think it's also on the artists to be like, hey, we got to be proactive on this. They do care and they want, and they feel like that's good. Because I'm not sure this, but I'm pretty sure it's in contracts. Like, hey, if you kind of like an NBA contract, like you make the all NBA team, if you win MVP, you get a bump in this contract or something like that. I'm not surprised if that's enough. I mean, that sounds like that would be in the music. That's got to be a thing. So that's why they care.
So yeah, apparently the recommendations are the requirements to join are as simple as get 2 strong recommendations from 2 music industry peers, and then after they're reviewed, tell the Academy about your career and about, I guess, why you should join. But the thing there is they of course, it's competitive. I don't think it's as easy as they only accept a certain number of people every year, and they're saying they consider. So I could imagine maybe a ton of people apply every year to join and are just like denied.
We don't know though.
But what I can't imagine that like everyone who does, like, this is probably one of the more competitive things like ever. So it'd be hard for me to believe that like the acceptance rate is high,
Yeah.
But I would say, like, reading the statistics there, I don't know why I thought there was going to be such a higher number of diverse, as they put it, because that's not instilling that much confidence that it's going to be different. You still invited men and women nice, but a majority of which are non-diverse. So
or white.
Do we think that like this, based on what Nnamdi just told us, I think a pretty collective opinion among the three of us is that like Run the Jewels had one of the best albums of the year, let alone like one of the best rap albums of the year. Do we think that that's going to be reflected in Tuesday's Grammy nominations?
I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, yes.
See, but they have had underground. No, go ahead. I'm gonna let you go because I think we're gonna say the same thing.
The thing about Run the Jewels, they're kind of not underground anymore because I think they're well known enough so that they have. I think they're kind of in a middle ground. Like we had this argument early on. It wasn't on the podcast. We kind of had this thing about artists who live in the mainstream and artists who dabble in it. Like we were talking about how Kanye and Drake. It was a stupid argument. It was so stupid.
Hilarious.
But it was like we came. It's so funny. It's one of the arguments that actually came to like a good like ending. Like we actually came like to a consensus where like people like Drake and Kanye live in the mainstream. And artists like Schoolboy Q or ASAP can dabble, like, they'll be in the mainstream, they can have a big song, but they'll not always they are ASAP Rocky.
They fluctuate through the mainstream.
They fluctuate. I would say somebody like Run the Jewels is kind of in that sweet spot of like, they're not mainstream, but people in the mainstream know about them because they talk about them. But people in the underground revere them. It's like that.
Songs and commercials and stuff. Yeah.
But I do say lately, I'm not saying they're win, but the Grammys has done away, especially with the rap albums. I'm not saying in terms of album of the year, but in terms of rap album of the year. Those albums, like I remember a couple years they had Rhapsody. She was nominated for Rap Album of the Year
I remember that,
ago.
Yeah.
Which I feel like was a big deal for her. Even if she didn't win, I feel like that was a huge deal. Cordae last year, even though I think they're kind of pushing him as a mainstream artist. He didn't sell super crazy.
He wasn't that mainstream then.
He wasn't that mainstream really. I mean, he had mainstream artists in there, but he wasn't like a mainstream guy. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of any of their albums off the top of my head, but I would not, especially with the kind of year it's been and the kind of role Killer Mike has played, because although Killer Mike is not a mainstream artist, I would say he's kind of almost a mainstream personality because of what he's done, because he's really active with Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Exactly, he's a mainstream personality and activist. So I would not be surprised if he was getting nominated. Now, if he wins, that's another conversation, but...
So to Noah's point, I was going to say, I think the Grammys, specific to the rap category, because they tend to ignore trap and anything that has to do with trap, they actually have recognized like albums that maybe didn't get the most commercial or critical acclaim that you wouldn't have known about. Artists like Common and like Mos Def and like, who else? I'm trying to think of people just in the past few years who you may honestly forget released albums this year, but the Grammys will remember. So I don't know if that's a problem. And I think if anything that speaks towards the voting body, because it's probably easier for them to digest a Run the Jewels or a Common album than it would be for them to digest an NBA Youngboy. So, so I look forward to seeing that. I don't feel bad for Kanye West. So, I'm looking at Avery's list of who hasn't won album of the year, and I just saw Kanye West, and I'm like, he really hasn't. He's won a rap album of the year a ton of times. Just to run through for our listeners, I'll run through like the surprising ones on here. Like College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And honestly, if he didn't get album of the year with those, I don't think Kanye West is gonna get album of the year. I think that may be the end of that for him. Eminem has. When's the last time a rap artist has won album of the year? I don't know.
I have a quiz. I have a little quiz for you guys. Do you guys know who the first rap artist was to win album of the year?
No. Oh crap! I know this. It was either Will Smith and Fresh Prince or it might have been can't touch this. What's his name? MC Hammer.
MC Hammer.
Those are both wrong. MC Hammer.
Dang, who was it?
It's not the Fugees or Lauryn Hill.
No,
it's Lauryn Hill. 1999.
Oh, it was.
First album of the year to be won by a hip hop artist. And that's even like debated because like, people are like, is that really a hip hop album?
I misunderstood.
Which I think it is, but like still.
Yeah.
I thought you were asking which artist won the first rap album.
No, you're right though.
MC Hammer won the first rap album.
Jazzy Jeff, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got you. Yeah, Lauryn Hill. That's not surprising because, oh man, wow.
Album's a masterpiece, but
yeah.
Okay.
It literally took like a top 10 album of all time. So
and it's like, has there been one more recent? Like, I'm trying to think of the last time a hip hop act has won album of the year.
I think it's Outkast.
Or honestly, Outkast. It may be Outkast, and that was over a decade ago.
That was more. It was Speaker Box. It was Speaker Box in 2005, I believe. Oh, I think I got that right too. But that's literally a decade and a half ago. That to me is mind-boggling, considering Black music hip hop, R&B has only become more dominant over the last 2 decades. But
Album of the Year wins has decreased to nothing in the last. Oh, that's insane. Melodrama won Album of the. Oh no, it was nominated 24 Karat Magic.
Nominated.
Oh well, Bruno Mars, right?
Yeah, it's just that's not rap though. I'm saying look at these rap albums. Adele. Go back, Avery. I'm saying you're not gonna see it. Taylor Swift.
No, I know.
I just want to see it. Yeah, keep on doing that. I want to see it.
Right here.
Oh, Daft Punk.
Morning Phase winning over Beyonce, winning over Pharrell.
That was the whole thing.
That was the first big upset.
Daft Punk winning over Kendrick Lamar.
See, like this is. It's like
Mumford
even if they do give
winning
it to,
over Frank Ocean.
Even if they do give it to hip hop, it's or not any hip hop adjacent. It's always the digestible hip hop adjacent. It's never like the.
Arcade Fire, The Suburbs, Taylor Swift, Fearless.
Hey, the Black Eyed Peas album that was a good album. Beyonce robbed again though.
Raising
the
Sand.
Carter 4. Who is
keep
that?
Keep going.
Herbie Hancock over.
Hey, this is when it starts getting disrespectful. This is when it gets disrespectful to me because some of these winners and who they want over when you get to like 2005, 6, 7, 8 is just unacceptable.
Outkast, Speaker Box of Love Below.
There you go.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that wasn't like a real Outkast album because it was 2 separate albums. But still, it's like
two solo.
2 albums. But still incredible. Still incredible. But
okay.
But yeah. So.
But you guys, so the last things that I really want us to throw in here, and I put the link.
Steely Dan winning over Eminem.
Not even surprised. Not even surprised.
Even though, never mind. I was about to say something stupid.
Yeah, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, 99. That's insane.
Yeah.
But I put the link in. Let's talk. We talked about this at an earlier episode, but the 9 changes that the Grammys have made to try to make it so the winners of this are a little bit more representative, diverse and representative of what people actually think they should be. So one in Best New Artist, they used to have a rule that you couldn't have released any more than 30 tracks prior to the start of your eligibility year. Ideally, that's not a problem if you're like pop or anyone because your first album may have 10 songs on it. But if you're a hip hop artist, let's say you have an EP or a mixtape that you put on streaming platforms, hip hop acts can release like 2 to 3 mixtapes a year, and they each may have 10 songs on them. So boom, just like that, you're no longer eligible for a Grammy. And they acknowledge that. They acknowledge that rule tended to hit people in hip hop and rap. Oh, right here, they can hit the 30-song cap with just 2 mixtapes. In some genres, specifically hip hop and rap, their mode of development is record and release. So it was like it was an immediate barrier to you not winning Best New Artist. They're getting rid of that. So
it's the fact, Nnamdi, is this in there? But the fact, if they use the word mixtape, it's obviously talking about rap. They're obviously talking about it. They're obviously talking about rap. It's like, well, there ain't no pop mixtape coming out. Ain't no rock mixtape coming out. Come on now.
The next rule they did here, and this I don't really know how I feel about it anymore. I for some reason was under the impression they were introducing a new category called progressive R&B. They're not. They're just replacing urban contemporary with best progressive R&B album. And the word urban wasn't the issue here. Like that wasn't it was the fact that I'm sure this will just be another excuse to push a whole bunch of black artists or white artists who do R&B or hip hop into this
The Weeknd
category.
And Beyonce gonna dominate this category.
Are gonna dominate this category.
So it says right here. They're the only repeat winners of the category.
First of all, urban has its own problem. The fact that they use urban is a problem too. But if they're just gonna change, I mean, that's one thing. That's like one small step they could have taken. I think people have a problem that like it's kind of like remember Tyler the Creator last year was talking about how he won rap album of the year for Igor. I'm surprised we didn't talk about this.
Wait, no. Didn't he win urban contemporary and then he was like, I wanted to win pop vocal? Or something like that.
I think he got something for that too. But he won rap album of the year for Igor. Igor was
last
not
year?
a rap album. Yeah.
He did. I did because I remember we talked about that. Yeah.
It wasn't a rap album, and he kind of talked about that. I know I don't want to get into it, but it kind of talked about like I feel good for winning it, but I feel like I kind of feel slighted because that's not what my album was, and they kind of put me in there because I'm black. But yeah.
Agreed. With this is one that I actually think could have an impact. They're changing best rap song performance to best melodic rap performance, and I think that's solely an excuse to put more trap artists in there. Because when I think of best melodic rap, I think of Young Thug. I think of like
you know what I think about? I think about 24K Golden. He's literally melodic rap.
True. Lil Uzi, and then everything else. So those are the ones specific.
This headline right here. Drake says his Grammy wins for Hotline Bling feel weird because it's not a rap song.
Shut up.
No. That's Noah. That's the point though. That is the point.
I agree.
Hotline Bling shouldn't have been nominated for best rap song, but they would never put it in pop vocal because they wouldn't put it in pop vocal because one is from a rapper.
Released one of the best rock songs of the year 2 years ago, and that didn't get nominated for rock song.
What song?
Ghost Town.
Yeah.
Oh,
great rock song.
You may not be.
If
Hey, you got a playlist.
That's rock.
You got a playlist for that too.
That's a rock song.
I just realized I still don't have a project of the week. So no, that's pretty much the biggest
changes.
The biggest changes. Do you guys think? My last question, this is our closing question. Do you think they will work in making the Grammy more representative and diverse?
No.
I think
between the voting member changes
over time. This year, no. Tuesday, no. But over time, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, next
maybe
week
get more artists like Drake getting on stage and calling them out, and like Adele being like, "I should not have won this." Like
this is all a part of it. What we're doing right now, even though it's tiny, fans coming out and saying we have a problem with this. This things need to change. That's a part of it. Artists being more proactive about making a change. It's all a part. We're all a part of it. Everybody, it's a collective effort. Not one person gonna do it. We have to keep doing what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? As small as
and I think the more we talk about it, the better it'll be. Look at the Oscars.
Exactly.
The Oscars are somewhat getting better now. So
some are getting. Look at one.
But like Green Book still won. So
see, that's just okay. First of all, that's
wait. You said Green Book?
No, I think. Yeah, that's just a whole different issue. I don't think that was like a. That's just a bad.
You know, pick. I watched Green Book. I watched Green Book, and I actually have a lot to say. I'm not sure it was that bad.
Oh, first of all, my dad loved that movie. My dad
tune into the 97 Demo Movie podcast for more.
Podcast. We could just, if we do the movie podcast, we just rebrand it just a movie podcast. 97 Demo Movie Podcast. Okay. Is that it, guys? Project of the week?
I think that's it. Let's go to. So I think like closing thoughts. Hopefully the Grammys will get better because we acknowledge that they are important, but we as a collective, artists and like listeners, just stop putting so much weight on subjective award shows.
I'm looking forward to our conversation next week about the Grammy nominations that are going to come out.
We'll discuss.
All of our headlines might just be
that.
Yeah. Oh, I like this. This was a good conversation. I enjoyed this.
Good conversation. Okay, guys. Project of the week, guys.
Nnamdi, do you have one up yet? Can I?
I do.
Yeah, no.
You're so loyal for that, Avery. Oh, I love it.
Wait a second. Avery, you a good guy, man. Okay, I'll go first. Kali Uchis Isolation. Obviously, I was just gearing up for her album coming out this week. This album is incredible, dog.
Great album.
So good.
God, this album is freaking incredible, and it's so, man. This album is bangers.
Favorite song.
Kali Uchis,
favorite song. I know what your favorite song is. Like I could tell you your favorite song, but I want you to figure it out, and then we can say it.
Say it. My
Your
personal
Teeth in My Neck.
Teeth in My Neck is my personal favorite, but I'm not gonna pick those songs for the playlist because I have two other songs that I was like, you know how you go back to an album, you're like, I know this song, but dang, it's way better. Yeah. So Kali Uchis Isolation, amazing album. There you go.
Oh well, now I forgot about our playlist, and we put so much Childish on our last one that I don't want to put it again.
You can put different songs. We can figure it out.
It's true. I'm not over our last week's episode where we talked about Childish. I've listened to Because the Internet all week. Dude, and I realized.
He was my second pick. I was considering him, but
honestly, I think I have to say, like, I know I said Camp was my favorite album before, but it may be because it's so good. It's so good. The intros are great. Fantastic. Like Telegraph Ave (Oakland) alone is enough for me to say this album may be my favorite.
Bro, I remember in high school, and I was like, "Is that Lloyd's song real?" And he made a song just for the album. He made that song just for the radio.
I wish it was real.
That's so cool.
Why isn't it?
I don't know. I thought it was a real song, but it's just a song for the project, so that's cool.
So, yeah, but I'll pick other songs to put in it. But Donald was in his bag, and it is kind of weird to know that we're probably never gonna get at least a straightish of a rap album like that.
Like that.
That's the last rap album we're gonna get from him.
That's like the closest he's gotten to like a full
and I'm okay with
album.
it.
It's incredible.
I mean, what he gave it his best shot.
Well, Camp and this were kind of like.
Yeah, I think he was more perfect album. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
This is one of our exceptions. One of our long masterpieces. Or one of our long classics, right? One of our long albums that we
It's long.
Yeah.
It's long, but it's under an hour. Every one of them is under an hour. So.
And it's a good distinction to make. Mr. Dalal.
Yeah, I talked about Bleachers earlier, and when they came out with new songs, I just like started listening to their old stuff again. So Strange Desire is my pick, and it's their first album. Really good pop music. Love it. It's great.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, is it this? So this is a pop act for our viewers?
Yeah, they're like familiar. Yeah, kind of like pop. They're weird. It's like I don't really know how to describe it. Pop rock, kind of. He's a guitarist, so he incorporates. What?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is there an artist that's more mainstream that's kind of sounds like them?
Not really. He writes
Or in the
and
same
produces for like
genre?
everyone. So he wrote and produced like Taylor Swift's last 2 or 3 albums.
Oh,
He did
this is the fun guy. This is this one that you
yeah,
said
he
has
just-
someone from Fun in it. Oh,
Yeah, he did
okay.
Melodrama by Lorde. He did like he's amazing.
Jack Antonoff. Jack
Yeah.
Hey
Antonoff.
guys,
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you.
one thing before we end the podcast, I think this is just a good idea I had. We don't have to create our playlist for the week now, but I think if we could just in the future, if we want to pick 2 songs from our project of the week, just to give our for the people who haven't listened to these albums, we can be like, hey, these are 2 songs you really check out, and then see if you want to listen to them. I don't want to put the pressure on you guys now, but I think it'd be a cool idea.
You're gonna say this while we're recording the pod instead of after the pod.
I think it's a cool
we can
idea.
talk about
I mean,
that.
Wait 2
I mean,
minutes.
it's just
We're gonna
last 2
wait
minutes.
2
okay?
minutes.
I just felt like I should say it because I don't have. Never mind. I don't have time.
Okay.
After the pod, but I got you.
No, I think I
But I'm
agree.
saying
And
in the
we typically do. I think we always typically
We've
include.
done
At least
that
I
before.
always include. We're supposed to like so ideally if you haven't been, you've been slacking.
I've been slacking, but I definitely would say my 2 favorite songs on the Kali Uchis album are Killer, which is the last song. Well, the songs I picked for the playlist are Killer and the interlude. What's the interlude called? Gotta Get Up interlude.
Really, those are your 2 favorites?
No, those are not my 2 favorites, but we already picked.
Oh, that's for playlist. Okay,
they've been on the playlist before, so yeah.
Okay, well, for the sake of time, you guys, I
Yeah.
think we've managed to keep it at least under an hour 15, Avery?
No.
Oh, I lied. Well, anyway, thank you for watching this long episode of the 97 Demo Podcast. Be sure to listen to our 97 Demos playlist. I'll be dropping on Monday. All the stuff we talked about in this playlist, in this podcast, curated into a playlist. And like, share, subscribe. We're on all platforms. We'll see you next week.